Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen to me very carefully. The restless mind is like a stormy sea, constantly tossing waves that make it impossible to see the reflection of the sky above. In this turbulence, we lose sight of what has always been waiting for us: clarity, peace, and the gifts that life has been quietly holding in reserve. When your thoughts scatter endlessly, chasing fears, replaying regrets, and constructing scenarios that may never exist, you close yourself off from the flow that was designed to carry you. Imagine a river meant to move freely, nourishing everything it touches, but now clogged with debris. That debris is your overthinking, your anxiety, your refusal to let silence wash through you. The current is still there, powerful and steady, but you cannot ride it until you clear the chaos from your mind. This is why the restless mind becomes the greatest barrier to receiving what is already meant for you. It is not that the universe withholds its promises. It is not that life is cruel, unfair, or blind to your effort. The truth is simpler and more subtle. You cannot see or feel what is being given because you are too caught up in the noise of your own inner storm. Opportunities arrive but pass unnoticed because you are distracted. Love stands at your door, but you are too busy replaying heartbreak to recognize it. Abundance whispers in your ear, but you drown it out with complaints about scarcity. The problem is not life. The problem is the restless mind that distorts your perception of life. When the mind is restless, it clings. It clings to control, to outcomes, to fears of what might go wrong. This grasping creates resistance, like holding a fist tightly under water and wondering why it cannot float. The more you grip, the heavier you become. The universe moves in waves, in tides, in cycles of giving and receiving, but the restless mind insists on immediate answers, forcing doors to open before their time, demanding certainty where only trust is required. This tension blinds you to the subtle alignments unfolding around you, alignments that would reveal how life has been conspiring in your favor all along. Think of how often the restless mind pulls you away from the present moment. You are eating, but you are not tasting. You are sitting in silence, but your thoughts are loud. You are surrounded by possibilities, but you are somewhere else, trapped in the future or chained to the past. And so the very moment that contains the seed of what you desire is ignored, left unattended. The present is where the universe delivers its promises, yet the restless mind convinces you to live everywhere except here. This is how you miss your own blessings, not because they weren't given, but because you weren't available to receive them. Calming the mind is not about emptying it of every thought, nor is it about forcing silence. It is about loosening the grip. It is about letting thoughts drift without clinging to them, like clouds passing across the sky. When you allow space between one thought and the next, a kind of opening appears, a doorway where clarity slips in. In that opening, you realize something extraordinary. You were never lacking, never forgotten, never unworthy. The promises of the universe were always present, like stars hidden behind daylight. Only the restlessness prevented you from seeing them. When the storm inside you softens, the river flows again. You begin to notice coincidences that aren't coincidences at all. The right people appear at the right time. The burden you've been carrying lightens as if unseen hands were lifting it with you. Ideas come unforced. Solutions arrive without struggle. This is not magic in the sense of tricks or illusions. It is the natural order of things, the way life has always been designed. The restless mind is the only interruption in this order. Calmness does not create blessings, it simply makes you aware of them. The restless mind is the wall, but the calm mind is the key. You do not need to beg for the universe's promises, nor do you need to chase them frantically. You need only to quiet the endless chatter that blocks the path. Like tuning a radio, once you remove the static, the signal is clear. The music was always there. You just needed to adjust the dial. In the same way, the universe has been transmitting abundance, love, and guidance into your life. The restless mind was static, and calmness is the adjustment. This is why your first work is not to strive harder, not to demand more, not to manipulate outcomes, but to calm the storm. Because when the storm clears, you discover that everything you once prayed for is already within reach. You only needed to be still enough to receive it. Calmness is not simply the absence of noise, it is the gateway through which everything meaningful enters your life. A restless mind believes it can think its way into solutions, as if every problem were a puzzle to be solved with enough effort. But the truth is, the most profound answers do not come from restless thinking, they come from stillness. When the mind quiets, when it stops grasping for control, something remarkable happens. You begin to feel aligned with the rhythm of life itself. You are no longer moving against the current, exhausting yourself in resistance. Instead, you flow with it, and that flow carries with it the very promises the universe has been holding for you. Imagine standing by a lake on a windy day. The surface is chaotic, distorted, impossible to see through. You cannot glimpse your reflection, nor the depth below. But let the wind die down, and suddenly the water becomes clear, still, reflective. The lake has not changed. It always held its depth, its clarity, its beauty. What changed was the movement disturbing the surface. Your mind works in exactly the same way. Beneath the restlessness lies wisdom, guidance, and the quiet assurance that everything you need is already on its way. Calmness is what allows you to see through to that depth. It is easy to believe that achieving calmness means withdrawal, doing nothing, sitting silently while life passes you by. But this is a misunderstanding. Calmness is not inactivity, it is alignment. It is acting from a place where your decisions are not born out of fear, anxiety, or pressure, but from clarity and inner balance. When your mind is calm, your actions become precise. You no longer waste energy on pursuits that lead nowhere. You no longer cling to things that were never meant for you. You move with intention, and the universe responds by clearing the way. So many of us mistake agitation for progress. We believe that constant motion, constant problem solving, and constant worrying will bring us closer to what we want. But agitation is not progress, it is only friction. A calm mind, on the other hand, is like a steady hand on the wheel. It does not oversteer, it does not panic, it does not slam the brakes at every turn. It trusts the road, it trusts the journey, and because of that trust, the destination arrives naturally. Calmness also allows you to hear what the restless mind drowns out. In the quiet, you notice subtle opportunities that would have passed unnoticed if you were lost in worry. You recognize doors opening, people entering your life with purpose, synchronicities guiding you. The universe is constantly communicating with you, but its language is subtle. It speaks in whispers, not shouts. To hear it, you must be calm. The restless mind is deaf to these whispers, but the calm mind hears them as clear guidance. Think about the times in your life when you made your best decisions. Were they born from panic, from a racing mind that feared the worst? Or were they born from a moment of quiet knowing, when something in you said, "This is the way"? That knowing does not come when the mind is noisy. It comes when you are still, when your heart is uncluttered, when you allow calmness to lead. That calmness is not weakness. It is power, the kind of power that doesn't need to prove itself, because it already knows where it stands. Calmness is also the space where timing reveals itself. We live in a culture obsessed with immediacy. Everything must happen now. Everything must unfold on our terms. But the universe has its own rhythm, and you cannot force it to move faster than it chooses. A restless mind fights this rhythm, demanding answers before their season. A calm mind, however, recognizes that timing is sacred. It does not mean you sit idle. It means you act when it is time to act, and you wait when it is time to wait. In this balance, life unfolds not with frustration, but with grace. The gateway of calmness is also a filter. When you are calm, you separate what truly matters from what is only noise. You no longer chase every fleeting desire, because you see clearly which desires align with your path. You no longer entertain every fear, because you recognize fear for what it is, an echo of the restless mind, not a reflection of truth. In calmness, you filter out the distractions and focus on the essence, and it is in that essence that the promises of the universe are fulfilled. The irony is that what most people chase so desperately, peace, abundance, love, clarity, cannot be reached through chasing. They arrive only when you are calm enough to receive them. You cannot chase peace. You become peaceful, and then peace surrounds you. You cannot chase love. You calm the fear within you, and love naturally finds you. You cannot chase abundance. You quiet the voice of lack, and abundance begins to flow into your life. Calmness does not just prepare you to receive, it transforms you into the receiver itself. When we say calmness is the gateway, we mean it is the door through which all fulfillment enters. It is not luxury, it is not escape, it is necessity. Without calmness, you will always be chasing and never arriving. With calmness, you discover that what you sought was always closer than you thought, waiting just beyond the noise. The moment you quiet your mind, you step into alignment with the rhythm of the universe, and in that alignment, you finally receive what was promised all along. The universe is not against you, though in moments of struggle it may feel that way. When life brings difficulties, when doors close unexpectedly, or when what you desire seems always just out of reach, the restless mind quickly whispers that perhaps existence itself has conspired against you. But this is illusion, born from fear and impatience. The deeper truth is far more liberating. The universe has always been working in your favor. The currents of life are not designed to punish you. They are designed to guide you. Yet when your mind is filled with noise, doubt, worry, endless questioning, you cannot hear or see that guidance. The blessings are there, the opportunities are near, but the storm inside blinds you to them. Consider how many times you thought something was a setback, only to realize later that it was a redirection. The relationship that ended seemed unbearable, but it created space for a connection far deeper and truer. The job you lost felt like betrayal, but it became the opening for work that fulfilled you in ways you never imagined. The rejection, the delay, the silence, they were not the universe saying no. They were the universe saying, not this way, not yet. Something better awaits. But the restless mind resists this truth. It insists on labeling events as good or bad, fair or unfair, without the patience to see the bigger picture. The universe is not against you. It is for you, but it operates on its own rhythm, not the hurried timetable of your anxious thoughts. Imagine planting a seed and demanding it bloom by tomorrow. You water it, you nurture it, but you cannot command the sun to rise faster, nor the roots to grow deeper before their time. To demand such things is not only futile, it would destroy the very life you are trying to cultivate. And yet this is exactly how many of us treat our desires. We plant them in thought and intention, and then, restless, we demand instant growth. When it doesn't happen, we decide that life is cruel, that destiny is broken, that perhaps the universe has forgotten us. But life has not forgotten. It is always moving, always unfolding, always arranging things in the timing that serves your highest good. The trouble lies not in the universe's promises, but in your ability to perceive them. Doubt blinds you. Fear deafens you. Anxiety blocks the flow that was meant to reach you. Imagine a person standing under a waterfall with a tightly closed cup. The water pours endlessly, abundantly, yet nothing is received because the vessel is shut. The universe is that waterfall, overflowing, generous, constant. But your restless mind keeps the cup closed, sealed with mistrust and impatience. The moment you relax, the moment you open, the blessings begin to fill your life in ways you could not have imagined. This is why it is said that trust is essential. Trust is not passive waiting. It is active openness. It is the willingness to believe that even when you cannot see the path, it is still being laid out for you. Even when you cannot understand the timing, it is still perfect. Even when the moment feels empty, it is still fertile ground. The universe is not against you. It is shaping you, strengthening you, teaching you how to receive. And sometimes the delay is not punishment. It is preparation. You are being refined into someone capable of holding what you asked for. Because receiving without readiness is the surest way to lose what was promised. Think of a child who wants to drive a car. The parent says not yet, not because they are cruel, but because the child is not ready. The gift is there, the promise is certain, but the timing matters. In the same way, the universe withholds nothing from you. It simply ensures that what you receive does not destroy you, that you are aligned enough to hold it with grace. From this perspective, life's delays are not evidence of opposition. They are proof of care. They are proof that existence itself is invested in your growth, your strength, and your ultimate fulfillment. The restless mind cannot see this. It wants immediate answers, immediate rewards, immediate relief. And in that restless grasping, it convinces you that life is unfair. But when calmness enters, a shift happens. You begin to see patterns that were once hidden. You notice how closed doors led to better ones, how disappointments became turning points, how silence created space for new beginnings. Suddenly, what once felt like betrayal begins to look like protection. What once felt like emptiness begins to feel like preparation. The universe was never against you. It was for you in ways you could not yet recognize. If you find yourself doubting, if you feel forgotten, if you are tempted to believe that the promises of life are reserved for others and not for you, remember this: the universe has never stopped working in your favor. The challenge is not whether it will give, but whether you are calm and open enough to receive. The more you struggle against it, the more resistance you create. But the moment you trust, the moment you let go of the restless grasping, you discover that what you have been waiting for has been circling you all along, waiting for your stillness to allow it in. The universe is not against you. It is the ally you never knew you had, the unseen hand arranging every moment, the silent force that has been guiding you since the beginning. When you finally calm your mind and step out of your own way, you realize that nothing was withheld. Everything promised was always there, waiting for you to notice. Silence carries a kind of power that words can never fully express. Most people spend their lives trying to be heard, trying to explain themselves, trying to prove their worth in a world that is already too noisy. Yet, it is not in the noise that truth reveals itself. It is in the silence. When you quiet the chatter of your mind and the constant demands of the world, you step into a space where clarity emerges without effort. It is in silence that the answers you've been chasing finally come to you, not because you thought harder, but because you allowed space for them to arrive. Think of the most profound moments in your life. Were they filled with endless words, or were they accompanied by stillness? The birth of a child, the moment of loss, the experience of awe when standing before a sunset or gazing at the night sky, these moments silence you. They strip away thought, language, and noise, leaving you in direct contact with reality. That silence is not emptiness. It is presence. It is power. And it is in those moments you realize that silence carries a weight, a depth, a truth that cannot be reached by noise. When the mind is restless, silence feels unbearable. You seek to fill it with distraction, with sound, with constant activity. But when you learn to enter silence willingly, to embrace it instead of avoiding it, you discover that silence is not void at all. It is fullness. It is the womb of creation. Everything new, everything meaningful, everything transformative begins in silence. A seed grows in the silence of soil. The stars burn in the silence of space. Your breath, unnoticed most of the time, moves silently through you, sustaining your life without demand or announcement. The most powerful forces do not shout. They move in silence. This is why silence carries power. It reveals the truth that was hidden beneath the noise. When you are quiet within, you hear the guidance that has always been speaking to you, but was drowned out by your inner storm. In silence, you recognize your own strength, a strength that does not depend on approval, validation, or applause. In silence, you see the futility of chasing recognition. You realize that your value does not come from what you declare to the world, but from the quiet certainty you carry inside. That certainty is what the universe responds to, not the desperate words, not the restless pleas, but the quiet conviction rooted in silence. There is a reason why wisdom is often associated with stillness. The loudest voices are rarely the wisest. The ones who speak the most often miss the depth. But the one who has learned to sit in silence carries a presence that cannot be ignored. Have you ever met someone whose calmness fills a room without them saying a word? That is the power of silence embodied. It is not passive. It is not weakness. It is influence without force. It is strength without aggression. Silence also teaches patience. In a world that pushes you to react instantly, to answer quickly, to act without pause, silence becomes an act of defiance. It says, I will not be rushed. I will not be controlled by urgency. I will move in alignment with something deeper than impulse. And in that pause, you allow the universe to reveal its timing. You discover that silence is not inaction. It is receptivity. It is listening. It is the willingness to let life speak before you do. In silence, you also learn detachment. You begin to see that not everything requires your reaction. Not every battle deserves your energy. Not every provocation needs a response. Noise begs you to participate in it, to add to the chaos. But silence withdraws its power from the unnecessary. It allows you to conserve your energy for what truly matters. And in doing so, it makes you far stronger than those who exhaust themselves in constant reaction. Silence is the art of choosing where to place your power. And perhaps most importantly, silence connects you to the eternal. Beneath all the movement, beneath all the sound, beneath all the activity of life, there is a stillness that never changes. That stillness is the foundation of existence itself. When you touch silence deeply, you realize you are not separate from that foundation. You are part of it. You realize that you are carried by something larger than yourself, something that has no need for noise, something that simply is. And in that realization, fear dissolves, anxiety softens, and peace arises. So do not fear silence. Do not rush to fill it. Instead, enter it with courage. Let it strip away what is false. Let it show you what remains when all distractions fall away. Because what remains is your true self, the self that does not need to shout to exist, the self that does not need to prove its worth, the self that stands unshaken in the quiet power of being. That is where the universe meets you, in the silence. That is where its promises are whispered into your heart. And when you learn to live from that silence, you no longer chase what is meant for you. You simply receive it, because silence has already aligned you with the flow of life. Expectation is one of the greatest traps of the restless mind. It convinces you that life must unfold in the exact way you imagine, at the exact time you desire, and through the exact path you have mapped out. And when it does not, you suffer, not because the universe has denied you, but because you have demanded that it follow your plan rather than allowing yourself to follow its flow. Forcing outcomes delays them, while surrendering opens the space for them to arrive in ways far greater than your limited vision could design. Consider how often your expectations have betrayed you. You planned how a relationship should unfold, and when it failed to match the script in your mind, you called it disappointment. You decided what success should look like, and when life painted a different picture, you labeled it failure. Yet later, in the quiet of reflection, you saw that the unplanned turns often brought you closer to what you truly needed. The job you did not get freed you to pursue work that mattered. The relationship that ended spared you from years of compromise. What looked like betrayal was protection. What looked like loss was redirection. This is the paradox of expectation. It blinds you to the wisdom of life's greater flow. The truth is, the universe does not operate on the currency of your demands. It operates through alignment, through timing, through a wisdom far deeper than human logic. Expectation tries to bend reality into a narrow shape, but flow allows reality to reveal its own design. And when you stop insisting that life give you only what you have pictured, you discover that what arrives is often richer, fuller, more expansive than you dared imagine. Forcing limits the outcome to what you already know. Surrender opens the door to what you have not yet dreamed. Imagine holding a butterfly in your hand. If you grip it tightly, you crush it, destroying the very beauty you wish to hold. But if you open your hand, if you let it rest freely, it may choose to stay. And even if it flies away, its departure is not a loss, but a sign of trust, that life brings beauty again and again when you allow it to flow. This is the way of surrender. It is not passive resignation. It is not giving up. It is the courage to trust that life delivers its promises in its own way, and that your role is not to force but to receive. Expectation also creates suffering because it attaches your peace to conditions. You say, I will be happy when I achieve this. I will be at peace when I gain that. I will feel whole when life looks the way I want. But life rarely bends so neatly to your conditions, and so happiness is postponed. Peace is delayed. Wholeness is always somewhere in the future. Flow, on the other hand, teaches that peace is available here and now, regardless of how things appear. And paradoxically, when you stop demanding that life meet your conditions, you align yourself with the energy that brings fulfillment sooner. Peace is not the reward for control. Peace is the key to allowing life's gifts to unfold. You see this truth in nature. Rivers do not force their way to the ocean. They simply flow. Seasons do not rush their arrival. They unfold in rhythm. A tree does not demand fruit overnight. It grows in silence until the time is right. Yet human beings, caught in expectation, demand results without rhythm, outcomes without patience, harvest without planting. This is why surrender feels unnatural to the restless mind. It requires trust in what cannot be seen, faith in what is not yet visible. And yet that trust is the very condition that allows the universe to deliver what was promised. There is power in releasing expectation because it shifts your energy from control to openness. When you cling to a specific outcome, you limit yourself to one path. But when you release the grip, countless paths open before you. Opportunities arrive in ways you never planned. People enter your life at moments you could not orchestrate. Solutions present themselves in forms you never expected. What was once impossible becomes inevitable, not because you forced it, but because you aligned yourself with the natural flow of existence. Forcing outcomes is like swimming against the current. You exhaust yourself and make little progress. Surrender is like turning with the current, allowing its strength to carry you further than you could on your own. This does not mean you do nothing. It means your actions are aligned, guided, supported by the flow rather than driven by fear. In this way, surrender is the most powerful form of action, because it is action in harmony with the universe, not against it. Expectation is noise. Flow is music. The restless mind clings to noise, believing it to be control. The calm mind trusts the music, allowing itself to be carried by rhythm rather than force. And in that rhythm, the universe fulfills its promises, not always in the way you pictured, not always in the timing you demanded, but always in the way you needed. Let go of the grip. Stop forcing. Release the picture in your mind of how things must be. And watch what happens when you align yourself with flow. You will find that the promises of life arrive not as you expected, but in ways more beautiful than you ever imagined. The very act of surrender becomes the doorway to receiving. And in that doorway you discover the truth. What is meant for you cannot be missed, and what is not meant for you cannot be forced. Patience is one of the most overlooked virtues, yet it is the soil from which destiny grows. In a restless world that demands instant gratification, patience feels like weakness, like waiting endlessly for something uncertain. But true patience is not passive. It is not sitting idle, hoping life will drop blessings at your feet. Patience is trust in motion. It is the quiet strength that allows you to keep moving forward without forcing, without rushing, without panicking when results do not appear on your timeline. Patience is what reveals destiny. Because destiny is not a sudden event, it is a gradual unfolding, and only those who are calm enough to wait can see its full shape. Consider the process of nature. A tree does not sprout overnight. From seed to root, from root to trunk, from trunk to branches, and finally to fruit, every stage takes its time. You could not rush it even if you tried. If you pulled on the stem of a growing plant to make it taller, you would destroy it. Growth has its rhythm, and patience is the wisdom to honor that rhythm. Life works in exactly the same way. What is meant for you will never be rushed, and if you attempt to force it before its season, you risk spoiling it altogether. Patience is not delay. It is protection, preparation, and alignment with the deeper timing of the universe. The restless mind does not like patience. It fears that waiting means missing out, that slowing down means falling behind. But in truth, impatience often leads to mistakes, compromises, and detours that cost more time in the end. Think about the choices you made out of desperation. How often did they truly serve you? Impatience may have given you something quickly, but rarely did it give you what lasted. Patience, on the other hand, ensures that what arrives is meant to stay. It gives you not just temporary satisfaction, but enduring fulfillment. Patience also transforms how you carry yourself. Without it, you are anxious, constantly chasing, constantly doubting. But with patience, you radiate calm assurance. You are not hurried, not frantic, not desperate. And there is a kind of power in that calmness. People feel it. Life responds to it. The universe itself bends toward it. When you embody patience, you send out a silent signal. I trust the timing of my life. And that trust invites doors to open when they are truly ready. Patience is not about doing nothing. It is about doing the right things consistently without demanding instant results. A farmer plants the seed, waters it, tends to the soil, and trusts the process. He does not dig it up every day to see if it has grown, for that would ruin it. In the same way, your destiny is revealed through consistent effort paired with patience. You show up, you do the work, you stay aligned, and you allow the universe to unfold in its timing. You do not destroy the process with doubt. You nurture it with trust. There is also a subtle beauty in patience. It teaches you to appreciate the journey rather than only the destination. When you rush, you miss the lessons, the growth, the strength being built in the waiting. Patience reminds you that every delay is not wasted time, but preparation. The waiting seasons teach you resilience, humility, and discipline. They refine your character so that when what you've been waiting for arrives, you are strong enough to hold it. Without patience, blessings can slip through your fingers, not because they weren't given, but because you weren't ready to receive them. Think about the timing of your own life. How many things that you once wished had come sooner would have actually overwhelmed you at that stage? The love you wanted when you were not yet whole would have broken you. The opportunities you demanded before you had the skills would have gone to waste. The abundance you sought without wisdom would have been squandered. Destiny waits for readiness. And patience is the bridge to that readiness. What feels like delay is often the universe protecting you from premature arrival. Patience also dissolves fear. Fear says, "What if it never happens?" Patience says, "It is already on its way." Fear says, "Time is running out." Patience says, "The right time cannot be missed." When you embody patience, you are no longer ruled by the clock. You understand that life moves in cycles, not deadlines. The sun does not worry about rising, nor the moon about shining. They appear in their time, always faithful, always precise. So too will your destiny. Patience reveals destiny because only in the waiting do you develop the vision to see it clearly. If everything were handed to you instantly, you would not recognize its value, nor would you understand the path that led you there. It is patience that gives you the perspective to look back and see how every delay, every pause, every waiting season was necessary. And suddenly, what once felt like wasted time is revealed as essential preparation. When life seems slow, when your dreams feel distant, when waiting tests your resolve, remember this: patience is not the enemy. It is the companion of destiny. It is not silence from the universe, but a sign that the timing is sacred. Each day of waiting is a hidden blessing, a quiet shaping of your soul into the person capable of holding what you've asked for. And when at last it arrives, you will see that patience was not keeping you from your destiny, it was delivering you to it. True strength is not always loud, not always displayed in victories or in the applause of others. Often, real strength is quiet, almost invisible to the world, but deeply felt in the heart of the one who carries it. It is the ability to endure when no one is watching, to remain grounded when storms rage, and to walk forward with dignity, even when the path is filled with uncertainty. Strength is not about never falling. It is about how many times you rise after the fall. It is not about avoiding pain, but about learning to transform pain into wisdom. Many people confuse strength with force, but they are not the same. Force tries to control, to dominate, to bend life to its will. Strength, however, flows with life. It does not break under pressure. It bends and adapts, and in that adaptability lies its endurance. Imagine the difference between a brittle branch that snaps in the wind and a rooted tree that sways but remains unshaken. Strength is not rigidity, it is resilience. It is the calm center that remains steady even when everything around you is shifting. True strength is also found in restraint. Anyone can react in anger, lash out in frustration, or speak recklessly in the heat of the moment. But strength is the ability to stay silent when silence is wiser, to walk away when walking away is more powerful than fighting, to choose peace when chaos tempts you. It is easy to let emotions control your actions. It is strength to master those emotions, to use them as guides instead of chains. Strength also shows itself in vulnerability. The world teaches us that to be strong means to never cry, never break, never show weakness. But the deepest strength lies in authenticity, the courage to be real. To admit when you are hurt, to ask for help when needed, to acknowledge your humanity instead of hiding it. This is a greater strength than pretending to be unshakable. Pretending is exhausting. True strength does not need to pretend, because it knows its worth is not diminished by struggle. In fact, it is the struggles that make strength possible. Consider those moments in your life when you felt broken, when everything seemed to fall apart. You may have thought you could not survive them, yet here you are. That is strength, not the absence of pain, but the ability to keep living, keep breathing, keep trying, even when your soul was tired. Every scar you carry is proof not of weakness, but of battles endured and lessons gained. Your strength is stitched into your very being through the hardships you have faced. Strength is also found in patience and persistence. It is not only about dramatic moments of courage, but about the quiet decision to keep showing up day after day. Strength is waking up one more morning after the night tried to break you. It is choosing to continue even when results are not visible, to trust the process even when the road is long. Persistence is strength in motion, and patience is strength at rest. Together, they carry you further than force ever could. Strength is not measured by comparison to others, but by how you overcome your own inner battles. Someone else's struggles may look greater or smaller, but their path is not yours. Strength is deeply personal. It is about what you had to endure, what you had to let go of, what you had to rise above. The world may not understand your strength, but you know it because you have lived it, and no one can take that from you. True strength also has compassion at its core. It does not seek to crush others, but to uplift. A strong person does not need to belittle anyone to feel powerful. They know their strength is secure, and therefore they can extend kindness, forgiveness, and grace. Weakness seeks to dominate out of insecurity. Strength seeks to heal because it is rooted in confidence. When you can face cruelty without becoming cruel yourself, that is strength. When you can meet betrayal and still choose not to lose your humanity, that is strength. The paradox of strength is that it often feels like weakness while you are in it. When you are enduring silently, when you are holding back tears, when you are walking alone, it does not feel powerful in the moment. But strength is not about how it feels. It is about what it builds. Every time you choose to keep going instead of giving up, you are shaping a deeper resilience within yourself. And later, when you look back, you will realize that those moments you thought were your weakest were in fact the foundations of your greatest strength. Strength is not something you are given. It is something you grow. Life provides the tests, the trials, the storms, and from them, you carve out resilience, courage, and endurance. No one can hand you strength, because if they did, it would not be yours. Strength must be earned, forged in the fires of hardship, refined in the waters of patience. And once you have it, no one can take it away, because it has become part of who you are. When you think of strength, do not imagine only the warrior on the battlefield or the conqueror on the throne. Think of the mother who sacrifices silently for her children, the man who chooses integrity over temptation, the soul who forgives when it would be easier to hate, the dreamer who keeps believing after years of failure. This is true strength, not loud, not boastful, but unshakable, rooted, and eternal. Strength is not about never falling. It is about always rising. It is not about never hurting. It is about never letting hurt define you. It is not about the world recognizing you as strong. It is about you knowing, deep within, that you have endured, overcome, and transformed. Strength is not what you show. It is what you carry. And when destiny calls, it will not be the strongest in appearance who answer, but the strongest in spirit. Receiving is often mistaken for passivity, as though it means sitting idly, waiting for life to drop blessings into your lap. But true receiving is not about laziness or inaction. It is about alignment. It is about becoming the kind of vessel that is ready to hold what the universe has already promised you. Think of it as tuning into a frequency. The signal is always being broadcast, but unless your mind and heart are aligned, you cannot hear it clearly. To receive is to clear the noise, to adjust yourself so that you are open to what has always been waiting. When you live in desperation, clinging tightly to outcomes, you are not in a state of receiving, you are in a state of grasping. Grasping closes the hand that could otherwise be open. Imagine trying to catch water with a fist it slips through, but an open palm can hold it easily. This is the essence of receiving, an openness of spirit, a quiet trust that what belongs to you will find its way, not because you demanded it, but because you prepared space for it. Receiving requires confidence, not in yourself alone, but in the intelligence of life itself. There is a rhythm, a timing, a flow that exists beyond your control. When you fight it, you exhaust yourself. But when you align with it, you find that doors open at the right time. People appear just when they are needed, and opportunities unfold without force. The secret is not to demand that life give you what you want, but to prepare yourself to step into what life has already arranged. This preparation is not passive. It is active faith. It is waking up every morning with the mindset that you are ready, that you are open, that you are willing to accept blessings in whatever form they come. It is practicing gratitude even before you see results, because gratitude aligns you with abundance. The one who constantly complains cannot receive, for their energy rejects what is given. But the one who gives thanks even for small things signals to the universe, I am ready for more. To receive is to let go of desperation and replace it with patience. You cannot beg the universe into moving faster. Desperation is noise, and noise blocks the signal. Patience, on the other hand, is silent strength. It shows trust. It is saying, I do not need to force this, because I know it is already mine. This does not mean you sit still and do nothing. It means you act with calm intention, not with panic. You move when inspired, and you rest when guided. This rhythm is the art of receiving. Many people pray, hope, or dream, but then reject the very things they have asked for because they do not recognize them when they arrive. Sometimes the universe delivers not in the form you expect, but in the form you need. To receive is to stay open, not to one path, but to all paths. Perhaps the opportunity you wanted was not meant to come through the door you kept staring at, but through the window you ignored. If you stay rigid in expectation, you may miss the promise entirely. Flexibility is part of receiving. Receiving also requires self-worth. If deep down you believe you are unworthy, you will unconsciously reject what is given. You might sabotage opportunities, push away love, or dismiss success because you think it cannot be yours. The universe may deliver, but you must be willing to say, yes, I accept this. I deserve this. This is not arrogance. It is acknowledgement. A flower does not apologize for blooming. It simply receives the sunlight and grows. In the same way, you must learn to accept what is already destined for you without shrinking back. Receiving is not passive waiting. It is the quiet confidence of alignment, the steady work of preparing yourself, the humility of gratitude, the patience of trust, and the courage of self-worth. It is choosing to remain open, to release the clenched fists of control, and to allow life to unfold in ways greater than you imagined. When you understand this, you realize the universe has never failed you. It has always been whispering, always guiding, always offering, but your readiness determines your ability to receive. You cannot control the timing, but you can control your openness. You cannot demand the form, but you can prepare your spirit. Receiving is not weakness, it is mastery. It is the art of aligning so completely with life's flow that everything meant for you arrives without resistance. And when it does, you will see clearly that nothing was ever missing. The promise was always there, waiting for you to calm the noise, open your hands, and step into alignment. The universe has never stopped giving. It is only waiting for you to finally be ready to receive. The journey of calming your mind and receiving what the universe has promised is not about chasing, forcing, or proving yourself to the world. It is about remembering that the power you seek is already within you, and the gifts you long for have already been written into your story. The restless mind resists, but the calm mind allows. The universe does not withhold. It waits for you to be still enough, open enough, trusting enough to finally notice its offerings. You have learned that force delays, but surrender invites, that silence carries wisdom, and patience reveals destiny. You have seen that strength is not loud, but quiet, not in control, but in trust. And in that trust lies the art of receiving, receiving not as a passive act, but as an alignment of your spirit with life's rhythm. The truth is, what is meant for you will never pass you by. The universe is not against you. It has been conspiring for you all along. Calm your mind, release your grip, and step into the flow. When you do, you will discover that everything you once chased begins to find you, because you have become ready to hold it. And in that readiness you will know the promise was never somewhere far away. It was within you from the very beginning.